The dynamic of power in the North Pole is about to change because we've got Chris Evans here to save Christmas. I kid. This is just a little poking fun at Dwayne Johnson, some of the remarks he made when Black Adam was coming to theaters. In Red 1, Santa Claus gets kidnapped and it is up to Chris Evans and The Rock to save him. And that does sound like a perfect premise for a Rock movie, does it not? Should this movie join the ranks of essential Christmas movies? Let's talk about that. Red 1 stars Dwayne Johnson, of course known as The Rock, Chris Evans, J.K. Simmons, and Lucy Liu. So yeah, I already basically described the premise of this movie. Santa gets kidnapped, two guys are supposed to help save him. One thing I really appreciated about this movie is that it does not take itself too seriously. I mean, this is a movie about Santa Claus and the North Pole. You can't take that too serious. And I'm not saying that Santa's not real. I'm not really sure, but it's good to see a movie that takes the subject matter and knows how to have fun with it. And taking a Christmas story and turning it into an action fantasy film, it not only worked way better than I thought it would, it actually makes sense. Because when you really think about it, Kris Kringle, the whole Santa story, it sounds like fantasy, so people love to harp on The Rock. They think that he's an overrated actor, but I happen to think that he's not an overrated actor. I think he actually is a very good actor. He does have a big head at times, and I think people get rubbed the wrong way by that, but that doesn't mean he's a bad actor. I haven't seen any performance from him that I have not liked, although he has been in plenty of bad movies. In this movie, he's playing Santa's head of security, and he takes this role very serious. I'm not talking about the actor, I'm talking about the character. He takes his role as Santa's main head of security extremely serious. For all intents and purposes, Santa is like the president, and he is the head of the FBI. Some of the earlier scenes in this movie with J.K. Simmons and The Rock, if you haven't seen the commercial, J.K. Simmons is playing Santa. It's not a great choice. Anyway, I think a lot of their earlier scenes in the beginning of this movie, it really does set up a really good tone for this movie, and it helps explore just what's going on with some of these characters. In this film, The Rock is basically feeling burned out on his role because he thinks it seems like there is way more bad people in the world than there are good. I found myself really connecting with his existential turmoil, especially after this last election cycle that we just had, because it really spoke volumes about the mindset of so many people, and that's why I think this movie came along at the perfect time. We do have a lot of people on the naughty list, and sometimes it feels like there's way more naughty people in the world than there are good, and that can really weigh you down. It's just suffocating at times. So I completely understood him losing faith in people, but by the end of this movie, you may just have a different view on the naughty listers. Chris Evans is back in his comedy groove after leaving the role of Captain America, and it is so good to see. He and The Rock both have excellent chemistry throughout this movie. There is really a good dynamic duo happening here. They really bounce off each other very well, and I just think it seems like these two were having a lot of fun making this movie. He starts off this movie as a major skeptic, the kind of person who doesn't believe in Santa Claus, and he gets to play an unapologetic asshole. And you can really see that Chris Evans is having fun with this character. It's fun playing a douche at times, as long as you contain it to being acting. There's a lot of layers to this man. He seems like a jerk, he seems like he's selfish, but throughout this movie, he does evolve. And that evolution is something that I'm hoping that people will do as they watch this movie. There's a lot of heart in this movie, and it really will get you thinking. I don't know if that's what they intended, but I have to think and assume that the director and the writer's writer, I don't know if there's more than one, but I have to think that they wanted to get people thinking about what it takes to be a good person and what it is that defines humanity. You can have a lot of fun with this movie. It's got great action, it's very funny, and it has some really cool fantasy elements. You could see Krampus, there's witches, there's snowmen, there's elves, there's just a lot of really cool stuff in this movie, and the fantasy nerd in me was enjoying every little bit of it. And one thing I noticed about myself while I was watching this movie is that I was smiling a lot. This movie had me grinning ear to ear, and that is not a bad thing at all. You want a movie that's going to make you feel happy, that's going to make you feel joy, that's going to make you laugh, you're going to be entertained, and this movie was doing all of that for me, and it did it way better than I expected it to. Now, I do have to point out some cons because this is a review and I am acting as a critic, but I don't really have that many. My only main complaint is that I think that some of the CGI in this movie it's not that great. It can be a little bit distracting. There was definitely moments where I could see where the actor was swapped out for a CGI render, and that does break the immersion a little bit. I know that it can look better, and yes, CGI is something that we're going to always have around because it's just too dangerous to do some of the stuff that people are doing in these movies, or just plain impossible. But that being said, I just thought some of the CGI was a bit too noticeable. But besides for that, and maybe some corny jokes, I think this movie is a really solid watch, and I do think it's going to be added to a lot of people's list of essential Christmas movies to watch during the holiday season. So if you're into the holiday movies and you like seeing The Rock and you like seeing Chris Evans and you just enjoy a good Christmas movie, then this is something I think you should probably put on your list. I think everybody in this cast does a great job, and like I said, I think this movie's message is what stands out the most. It's such an important message. It means a lot to me. When you look around the world, it's easy to feel like you're surrounded by people who are selfish, ugly, and downright evil. People who enjoy hurting others, people who enjoy mocking others, people who enjoy encouraging negativity and bullying. And all these things can really shake your faith in humanity and make you feel like you are outnumbered. That's how I feel sometimes. I feel like I'm surrounded by people that I just straight up don't understand. And yet this movie wants to tell you that beneath most people is a good person. It might be buried far down beneath, and you might have to do something to try to bring that person back forward in their soul or their personality or whatever, but there is a good person lurking within most people, and that's something that I think this movie wants you to come to understand, is that yes, there are bad people out there, but there might be something else going on, and maybe there is a part of them that is good, and if you try hard enough, you can reach these people and inspire good. So taking into account everything I said, for me, this movie is an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I think that your kids are going to really like it. It's got good humor that the adults are going to enjoy too, so it's not going to make you feel like sticking your head in an oven if you have to go watch this movie with your kids. I think you will enjoy it. As a matter of fact, I think this is a great family film. It has occasional swearing, but nothing too crazy. Certainly nothing that's going to be offending your ears or making you worry about your kids. And hopefully this movie sparks some conversations and gets you talking to your kids about some of the things that we could all learn from this movie. And don't laugh. I'm telling you, you need to watch this movie and you'll see it's way more deep than you would expect. That's my thoughts on this movie. Did you see this movie yet? If you did, please put your thoughts on it in the comments. You know, when you finally do see it, you can come back, put your thoughts in the comments then. Did you like this video? If you did, then hit that like button. And if you want to hear more things from me, well, subscribe to this channel. Later.